Hey everybody, it's Brad Bodessa from Ukulele.com, and I'm going to show you the basics of bending. I've already kind of covered this as far as bending to the right pitch and making your bends more musical, so check out that lesson if that's more your speed. But as far as the real basics of bending, how to do it, this is how. So to bend, you're going to use a rolling motion with your hand. Instead of bending with your fingers, which I see a lot of beginners try and do, where they bend, you just hold a note just like you normally would, and you try and bend by pushing like this up with your fingers. It's really hard on your fingers. You can try it and see there's a lot more tension on your different muscles that, it's not super efficient. So to try your super basic bend, find a place in the middle of the scale. The middle of the scale is where there's the least amount of tension on the string, so that's probably your best place to try the bend at first because there's less resistance. The E string is probably the easiest string to bend on just because of its tone and its position on the fretboard. You're not going to be pushing it off to the top of the neck, and it's easier to bend than the A string. So find your note. I'm going to use the 10th fret on the E string just as an example, and you hold that note with your ring finger. When you use your ring finger, it's going to be easier because you're going to put your index and middle finger behind it on the other frets. So I'm playing the 10th fret, my middle finger goes on the 9th fret and my index finger goes on the 8th fret. And these are your helper fingers. That way you're not just trying to bend with one finger. Even if you use the rotation of your wrist, it's still hard to bend with one finger. So you have these other fingers behind it to help it out. Okay? So you have your 3 fingers helping out. You don't always have to bend with 3 fingers, but it's just for learning it's easier. And then you're going to hold the ukulele kind of with bad technique, where you have your thumb over the neck and the ukulele is right in the crook of your finger. So hold it like that with your 3 fingers, and from here what you're going to do is you just pick and you rotate your wrist. So you're rotating your wrist counterclockwise. Counterclockwise for me. Okay? So, pick, rotate, pick, rotate. Okay? It's a fairly simple concept. If you're bending on any of the lower strings, the G and C strings, you might find that if you try and bend up, you run out of fretboard space and you go off the neck with your bends. If that's the case, then you need to reverse the bend and bend down instead. So to do this, you're going to use the same concept, except you're going to bend down. So in this case, you're rotating your wrist the other way, clockwise. So this is a little bit harder. It's harder to get it really precise, and your leverage isn't quite as good, it seems, when you bend down, but it's better than going off the fretboard. There are 3 basic different bend lengths, I guess you could say. There's a quarter step bend, which is like a blues bend in between, where you're not quite going to the next note, but you're going somewhere in between the note you start on and the half step. So just really subtle. The second kind of bend length is a half step, where you go from one note to the next fret up. And then the third one is a whole step, where you go 2 frets up. Beyond those 3, there are more. You can go up a step and a half, but you need more fretboard space and stronger fingers, and if you're really gutsy, you can try 2 steps. But I don't feel like hurting my fingers right now. So usually you want to try and get these bends as in tune as possible, but I'm not going to go over that here. You can check out my other video for info on that and practicing that.